Welcome to the third of 3 videos in a series for district leaders who review and approve school improvement plans. Today's video focuses on reviewing the Go or Create a Plan section of the school improvement plan. This video was produced by the statewide team for school improvement at the Lancaster-Lebanon IU13, a leading education service agency which works in concert with the Pennsylvania Department of Education. Reproduction of this video is not permitted without written consent by IU13. This video has 4 sections: a brief rationale for district leaders to review school improvement plans, keys to high-quality plans, specific look-fors within the Go or Create a Plan section, and at last, the resources to guide your learning in areas that are specific to the Go or Create a Plan section. Most of what I share today is from the District Administrator Toolkit for reviewing school improvement plans. This toolkit supports leaders by providing a purpose for each phase of improvement planning, shares expectations for the quality of each phase, and provides links to resources. You can find additional guidance for quality plans at each of these QR codes. As you can see, the rubric is both in spreadsheet and PDF format. On the right is a document that provides guiding questions for each phase of improvement planning, along with expectations for high-quality plans. As you know, a key aspect of ESSA is its commitment to the use of cycle of continuous improvement and evidence-based approaches to drive better outcomes for students. Today we're going to focus on the Create a Plan phase of the cycle. This aligns with the Go area of the Future Ready Comprehensive Planning Portal. As a district leader, there are several reasons you want to review school improvement plans for both compliance and quality. First, Pennsylvania's theory of action points out clear responsibilities of the SEA, which is addressed by our statewide team for school improvement, and of the LEA. By engaging in school improvement and ensuring high-quality plans, you'll be prepared to support schools with your district systems and by supporting schools directly. The district essential practices include 3 practices that are directly related to your responsibility of reviewing school-level improvement plans. By engaging in school improvement and/or ensuring high-quality plans through your review and feedback, you're setting a culture of high expectations, which leads to success for all stakeholders. This is an opportunity to establish a clear system that ensures organizational coherence, and it provides the opportunity for you to support the growth and advancement of all. There is a key to high-quality plans that you want to keep in mind as you review each phase of the plan. As reviewed in our previous videos, plans will only have an impact on students with a very clear through line. This video today is focused on ensuring high-quality action plans. However, in order to measure the quality of an action plan, you need to know how it's related to the previous steps. Even a well-written plan isn't high quality if it doesn't align with the evidence-based strategies, priority statements, which were derived from the root cause analysis, and that was based on your collection of evidence. All of that came from your vision. As you prepare to review a school's action plan, consider how someone would go about baking a birthday cake. Knowing the person you're baking for, you have a vision of what they want. Based on that, you select a recipe, probably one that's been tested over time. You may have even read the reviews to make sure the recipe was successful when others used it. You prepare all the materials that you need along with the ingredients, and you make sure you have enough time to complete the process. Then you follow the instructions on the recipe. Sometimes you make substitutions for ingredients, but mostly you do some research before doing that. You pause and you check to make sure you don't forget anything. And in the end, you share it with the person that's having the birthday, and you listen for their feedback to see how great the cake is. This video refers to the recipe portion of your school improvement plan. I'll share ideas for what to look for to know if a quality recipe has been written. Let's move on to the specifics of reviewing the Go or Create a Plan section of the school improvement plan. I'll provide a purpose, a few look-fors to ensure high quality, and I'll show you where to find additional resources. The action plan is the recipe for school improvement. The priorities are identified, steps list what will happen, when, by whom, along with the expected outcome. The plan also included the necessary resources and materials. In addition, there is a section for teams to plan the professional learning that will need to take place in order for the selected strategy to be implemented as planned. Think of the professional learning as ensuring that everyone knows what the recipe says and how to mix the ingredients. In the FRCPP Go section, there are 5 subsections listed here. I'll briefly address what to look for in each section of the plan that you review and show where it is in the portal. This is a meaty portion of the plan. This video serves as an introduction only. At the end, I'll point you to additional resources that can expand your knowledge in order to guide school teams to high-quality work. The first section builds upon the Summarize Strengths and Challenges portion of the Ready section that we reviewed in the second video. As you review this section, it will be helpful to talk to the school leader about their root cause analysis. You'll want to ensure that the identified priorities are a result of reviewing evidence, not based on a gut reaction or instinct. Teams typically identify several root causes for any challenge they have. Have they selected a root cause that they can influence and that will have high leverage? Selecting fewer priorities often leads to teams being able to implement a strategy with fidelity. Help teams be realistic with how much they will be doing. Priority statements should be written using an if-then framework, so what they are going to address is as clear as what the change will be. As I mentioned in the beginning of this video, here is the opportunity to review the alignment between the data analysis, the essential practice ratings, the challenges, and the priorities. In the FRCPP, the challenges and strengths that were selected in the previous section will be populated. The team needs to determine their top priorities and then write their priority statements. This is where their if-then statement goes. Let's move on to goal setting with a little detour. Before we talk about quality goals, I want to take a little detour into this section and refer you to the evidence-based strategies. Before writing any goals, annual or quarterly, teams want to be clear about what strategy was selected to address the prioritized challenge, the ways in which the district is able to support the implementation of this strategy, and finally, what the research says can be expected as a result of implementing a strategy. For example, if a strategy has been shown to decrease out-of-school suspensions and increase attendance, the goals would need to be focused on those types of outcomes. You wouldn't expect to see academic content goals related to this strategy, even though ultimate desire may be to have increased academic growth and achievement. In addition, if the selected strategy has shown to increase attendance rates by 5%, the school would want to set a goal that was attainable based on that research. Hopefully it's clear, understanding the research of the selected evidence-based strategy is necessary before setting goals. Let's return from our detour and talk about quality goals. There are 2 types of goals to develop, annual goals and quarterly targets. While I'll share a few look-fors, I'm not able to do justice to all that can be said about creating quality goals. A section of our website and a learning module has been dedicated to goal writing. The statewide team also has a performance management team, and its members can offer guidance with goal writing. I'll show you the website link and our email address at the end of this video. When reviewing a school's annual goals, look for at least 2. And are they Smarty Goals? Based on the research of the evidence-based strategy and the school's stage of implementation, are the goals feasible? For example, if a school is in the beginning stages of implementation, either the installation or initial implementation phases, they may not expect to see the same results as a team at the full implementation stage. And are the goals ambitious yet attainable based on the strategy that will be implemented? Going back to our cake baking analogy, when I bake a cake, I have certain checkpoints along the way to make sure I'm on track. I often scan over the recipe, make sure I didn't forget any ingredients. I test the batter before pouring it into the cake pans to make sure it tastes like it's supposed to, and I even peek in the oven about halfway through. These checkpoints are needed in school improvement also. Quarterly targets allow the team to monitor the impact of the work they have done. They need to be directly related to the changes you would expect to see either in students or adults as a result of the strategy being implemented. Check to ensure that the goals are outcomes, not actions. And what are you looking for as a result of the actions? When reviewing the quarterly targets, consider the availability of the data in the necessary time frame, end of the months in October, January, April, and July. If a school is using a local assessment as quarterly targets, will it be available at the required time frame? If not, what else could they consider? Also, consider how the goals are written. Is it clear how their data will be calculated? Confusing goals lead to confusing data collection, which leads to teams not understanding the impact of their work. In the FRCPP, teams will align a goal to an outcome category, an essential practice, and then enter their annual goal and the associated quarterly targets. The fourth quarter target is also the annual goal. Let's move on to the action plan, the actual recipe. The action plan is comprised of several components. The rubric for plan quality has specific guidance for each of these components. But there are two that I'd like to highlight in this video. First, the evidence-based strategy selection. If the evidence-based strategy doesn't address the prioritized challenges, the goals will not be met. As a district leader, review the selected strategies. Ask to see the research that confirms the alignment between the prioritized challenge and the strategy, as well as the expected outcome. When approving an evidence-based strategy, you are ensuring that there is research to show that implementation of this strategy will produce the outcomes aligned with the goal statements. The evidence-based strategy has strong to moderate evidence of impact in a context similar to the schools, so ESSA tiers 1, 2, or 3. And that the school will have access to the required resources as well as the capacity to implement this strategy. Next, once you understand the evidence-based strategy, review the action steps. Are the action steps directly related to the selected evidence-based strategy? So when reading the action plan, there's clear evidence of the key components of the strategy. Look for action steps that are discrete enough that individuals outside of the committee can follow the plan. The action steps are not intended to be a list of tasks, but only having 2 or 3 action steps that say, implement the strategy, isn't quite enough. Action steps should address the identified problem of practice, and where necessary, action steps to develop systems for implementing the strategy are also included. Actions and systems that are needed to monitor both the implementation and the impact of the strategy are also included in the plan. Within the portal, teams will add each action step along with timelines, which shouldn't be year-long, materials, resources, which will inform the new expenditures section, responsible person, a variety of roles should be listed here, not always the school leader, and an indication that professional learning is needed for the action step to be implemented with high quality. There is a new expenditures section in the portal. The school improvement school-wide plan is considered the spending plan of the school. The exact dollar amounts for all of the items that are funded with CSI and/or school-wide Title I funds must be listed and must match what is being entered into e-grants. If CSI set-aside funds are being used, they must be related to an evidence-based strategies research that meets ESSA tiers of evidence. For more information determining tiers of evidence, go to the evidenceforpa.org. This is what the expenditure section of the FRCPP looks like. Schools will differentiate between school improvement funds and Title I funds. Where funding for professional learning is necessary, it will be included here. Supports provided from LEA, IU, or an outside organization are also identified. The last section of the Go or Create a Plan is where specific professional development is planned for. In the beginning of the video, I mentioned that reviewing school plans allows you to differentiate for professional learning across the district. By reviewing this portion of the plan, you can ensure there is alignment between the selected strategy and the professional learning that's scheduled. Are there areas of professional growth that should be planned for but aren't? And what feedback could you give to the school team? Is the professional learning plan feasible? Is the time manageable? Is the amount feasible? Does the school have the staff that's needed for this plan to be implemented? How is this plan aligned with the district level expectations for professional development? Has the team identified the expected outcomes of the learning? And does the plan articulate how that will be reviewed or monitored? This is a sample of the professional development section of the FRCPP. This video just touched the tip of the iceberg of action plan quality. Here are some resources for more information. I recommend visiting our website to explore additional resources that provide more detail and explanation of the work that goes into the Go or Create a Plan phase of planning. The URL and QR code are provided here. Let's go into the website now. Here we are at Pennsylvania Continuous Improvement Resources website on the IU13's site. I'm coming over to the right-hand side of the page and clicking on Go Create a Plan. You can see on the right-hand side in the gray box is a list of all of the different topics needed to know about for this section of the plan. For each of those topics, there is a drawer with additional information. I'm going to click on selecting evidence-based strategies. When we go to learning more about evidence-based strategies, this will take you to the ESSA Tier 1, 2, or 3 evidence-based strategies links, as well as a link to the Pennsylvania Evidence Resource Center. Back at the main site, I'd like to point your direction over to the right-hand side once again. There is a link for district leaders and also an area for learning modules. Going to the learning modules and sliding down to the very bottom at data culture, you'll find information about writing and interpreting goals on that very last link. Also, on Create a Plan in that drawer, you will see a learning module for high-quality goal writing. And last, engaging in school improvement goes beyond reviewing school-level plans. Learn more ways to support your schools by reviewing this document of LEA district engagement in school improvement. Thank you for watching this video. If you have additional questions or would like to talk to a member of the statewide team for school improvement, please email us at pdecsi@iu13.org. If you have questions directly related to the FRCPP, use the contact information shown here for support.